Hello, beautiful women of the One of Many community. A big welcome to Lunch and Learn Live. I'm Jo Martin, the founder of One of Many, and wherever you are in the world, come into the comments section. Make sure you've allowed Ecamm an opportunity to say hello to you. Tell me where in the world you are and what's for lunch. I always like to live vicariously through other people's food choices because there's not very many things I can eat in the world, and I like to hear what you're eating. So in the comment section, say hello and let me know what's for lunch as we do Lunch and Learn Live today. And I'm very, very, very excited about what we have in store for you. Waiting in my technical green room is an extraordinary guest who I know you're going to just love. So I'm going to give you ladies a few more minutes to arrive here on the line, and then I'm going to be introducing you to somebody exquisite and extraordinary who I had the pleasure of meeting just a few short weeks ago myself, and I know you're going to absolutely love her. If you're new to the community, a big welcome to you. You may or may not have heard that we have coming up the One Woman Conference. It's on June the 12th and 13th, and we have nearly 800 women registered for that event already from all over the world, which is extraordinary. We're very excited about it because it is going to be, yes, a virtual event, but unlike big virtual events where it's just like you're watching TV and you can't actually talk to anybody else anywhere else in the world, we're doing the big Zoom wrangle so that you can be in breakout rooms, connecting, networking. Every experience that you have at a live event, you're going to be able to have at the One Woman Conference, and we're super excited about it. Very, very excited indeed. So let me know also in the comments section whether you are coming, if you've got your ticket booked, how excited you are about that too, because it's good times ahead. Now, come and say hello to me in the comments section, ladies. Why can I not see you yet? Is it just because there's a delay? Let me know where in the world you are as you're joining us. What are you having for lunch on this Lunch and Learn Live, or breakfast? For Kathy and our mates over in the States, maybe it's breakfast. If you're out in Australia, it's probably getting a bit late out that side of the world, or anywhere in between. What are you snacking on? How are you doing? How are you traveling? Oh, yay. Victoria says she's going to be there. Jean says she loves my necklace. Well, that's very kind. Thank you, Jean. Well, without any further ado, because we don't have her for a very long time, we are thrilled and excited to be talking hacking happiness today. And I've got to say, I'm very excited about this topic with the lovely and extraordinary Kristina Mand Lakhiani. Now, Kristina is the co-founder of Mindvalley, and I am sure Mindvalley needs no introduction. Indeed, I think most of you ladies were saying, oh my God, Mindvalley to me. And I had no idea what Mindvalley was a few very short weeks ago. So you don't need the introduction. But she's been in the personal transformation industry for over 17 years. She's an incredibly talented international speaker, an entrepreneur, an artist, a philanthropist, and mother to two awesome kids. She's created a couple of extraordinary programs, 7 Days to Happiness and Live by Your Own Rules. And they're the things I want to talk with Kristina about today. So could you please give me big loves, big thumbs up, and a lot of love as I add magically Kristina to our live today. Welcome, my darling. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you, Joe, for such a great introduction, and I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you here. Thanks for being here. Now, are you in Estonia right now? Where are you right now?
I am in Estonia, yes, in Europe.
Lovely,
hmm
lovely, lovely. Well,
And
we're
it's
really.
past lunchtime.
It's past lunchtime. Yeah, you've had lunch. I'm every week. I'm like up to my Earl Grey tea, and I want to know what everyone's eating. They eat really big things in this community, although they're not telling me today because they're clearly too excited that you're here with us. I think, like ready with their note. And in fact, I would highly recommend having a pen and paper ready, ladies, because I'm sure we're going to get some tips that are going to make a real difference today. Now, Kristina, my first question that I'm really, really interested to know from you is how did you get into this industry? How did you get into personal transformation, personal growth, and happiness yourself? What was your journey?
Well, I think I've always been flowing with the with the river.
Yeah.
So I ended up here by accident, I like to say, and that's absolutely true. I got married to Vishen a long time ago, and he was into all of that. He started business, and I was just tagging along. So my journey to personal growth didn't come through any personal realization or big awakening. personal interest. I just happened to be in the industry, and it rubbed off eventually. And in a way, similar story with the happiness. I was in personal growth through Mindvalley, obviously, as an entrepreneur and marketer. That was the beginning of my journey, because that was a little closer to what I used to do before. But gradually, because I'm the face of Mindvalley in Russian market, I had to explain a lot of concepts and translate some authors and do a lot of speaking. And eventually I ended up on stage, and it just happened so that happiness was the topic that people wanted to know. But interestingly, I've actually stuck to that because over years I've been reading and researching happiness more and more. And I'm not giving up on the topic yet.
Well, I think it's one of those topics we don't want to give up on, right? I think we want to give up on it. And I'm really interested today. Like, I know when we were organizing with your team to get you along, we were calling it hacking happiness. I have
Yeah.
issues with the word hacking because it seems to me to be like a shortcut, right? Like, is this something that we can shortcut? And I was going back to my team saying, do we call it that? Because I don't know about that. But then I thought, no, we have to have this conversation, because for myself, I live every day with love. I'm really present to love every day in my life. And I'm also blessed to be really present to fulfillment every day in my life. You know, what I get to do for a living, and knowing that my work is having an impact. But joy and happiness are blind spots for me. I have to be really honest about that and just say that when it comes to, do I experience joy and happiness every single day? I'm not sure that I do. I feel fulfillment, I feel contentment, I feel love every day. Those things I got. But happiness it was a real blind spot. So no, if there are shortcuts, if there are ways that we can actually as you call it, hack some happiness, I'm all ears. Who else can relate to that? You know, and let me know in the comments section, ladies, how this is resonating for you, because as I started really digging in, I would call myself a happy person. But, do I get to suck the juice out of joy every single day? I'm not so sure. So, from that perspective, where do we start?
It's interesting. Well, first of all, the name came from my team, and I don't mind. I'm at peace with whichever name they give the conversation. I believe that the conversation will go where it's supposed to go. Sometimes you say you're going to talk about certain topic, and then you end up talking about something else because it's more important, it's more closer to heart. So similar evolution happened with me and happiness. And one thing I want to say straight away, the way you're using the word, you use it interchangeably with joy in a way. You say joy and happiness, joy and happiness. And that might be the reason, and that might be the trap why so many people think that lasting happiness is impossible, because we think that happiness is an emotion. And if you take happiness as an emotion, then obviously emotion in its nature is a fluid thing. The moment you express an emotion, it starts changing. For example, when I was coming on stage, waiting in the green room, well, virtual stage, I was thinking all those thoughts that, oh my God, this is an unusual environment. I'm not used to that. Where do you see the comments? And all these things. And I have the habit of vocalizing what I'm feeling in my head, at least, but obviously on screen as well. It looks like that. So, but as I vocalize what I'm feeling, I'm a little maybe a bit uneasy, or uncomfortable, or whatever, lost. As I explain that, I start feeling something else. So obviously emotion is such, or feeling is such a fluid thing, that if you want to chase happiness as a feeling, as an emotion, then very likely you're not going to be happy 100% of the time, and that's understandable. So usually when I get about half an hour to talk about happiness, then hacking happiness is a very pinnacle type of name, because you can't really hack happiness in half an hour. I can talk about that for a day.
Damn it.
Oh, obviously. But what I can do, I can share a few ideas, and maybe those ideas will start you on the journey. So probably in answer to your question, the number one thing that I would like to share is that we have a huge misunderstanding around happiness. On one side, and I've been in this field for quite a long time, there is a lot of research about happiness. And of course, researching happiness is a cute thing. It's a perception, it's a subjective thing. You can't measure it with any medical machinery. So obviously, research of happiness is an interesting thing, but there is a lot of research. There's a lot of literature on that topic. There are a lot of people who speak and write about that. And one thing that I've noticed over years is that we as a society don't have any agreement about what it means. So a lot of people, when they start talking about happiness, they would say, oh, it's an emotion, or use joy. I've actually heard even the reverse, where happiness is an emotion, a fluid thing, and joy is the state. And there are so many different approaches to happiness that we as a society can't really understand what it is. But if you talk, if you understand anything about goals or achieving goals, you know that if you can't define what you're trying to achieve, obviously you're not going to achieve it. So if you can't define what happiness is for you, how are you going to achieve that state or emotion or whatever it is? You can't. You can't work on it. You can't learn to achieve it more frequently or easier or at will, because you don't even know what you're talking about. You know, occasionally when you feel ecstatic and everything is perfect and you say, oh, this is happiness. But in the nature of emotion is to change straight away. So my definition of happiness is based on a little bit longer research, which I want to share with you. Maybe it will help.
Yes, please.
It's so in I think in the 1950s or thereabouts, there was this scientist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who's actually famous for slightly different work. But one of the concepts which he popularized is hedonistic adaptation. And hedonistic adaptation talks about a certain set point of our contentment and, well, enjoyment of life, if you can say so, or happiness, which is set. And no matter what happens in your life, you can get very ecstatic and above that set point. You will get back to it, or you can get something very tragic can happen to you, and you'll be derailed, and you'll feel sad and maybe grieving, and eventually you'll get back to the set point. So generally speaking, set point is something which doesn't change. And if you look around, you will know people in your life to whom life maybe wasn't so kind, but they are generally quite content and optimistic. Optimism, I think, is a really good is a good trait of happiness, overall state of happiness. It's the ability to look into the future and be excited about what's coming. So, and then you would know a lot of people who have everything perfect for them, but they will get incredibly upset and emotional about the littlest things. Somebody cut them off, somebody said something rude to them, somebody is just an idiot, and they take it to heart and they feel upset, or they're upset with what's happening in the world. So the point is that our set point of happiness is something which we can train. And if you approach happiness in a little more steady way, then there are ways to actually increase it. So I would share how I understand that, but I believe that there are billions of brands of happiness, because everybody wants to understand it in their own way. But happiness as a resourceful state, which actually helps you to be more successful in life, is the kind of state where you are actually optimistic about the future. You're looking into the future. You're generally enjoying your life. You're not incredibly I don't know, you don't get too upset about things. You are at peace with yourself, with the world. So this kind of state is achievable, and it is a state which can last for a long time. And yes, there are such aspects as enjoying everything that life gives you. Surprisingly, I discovered the Estonian weather is a beautiful philosopher who teaches happiness, because we get 2 days of summer in a year. When they happen, you seize the moment, you drop everything and you go enjoy the weather. And if they don't happen and you have planned something, you just take what you have. So what, it's raining, I'll just put on something waterproof and go do what I was planning to do. Because life is not standing on one spot. You have to keep living right now. So just to finish, because I like to talk about that very, very long, I will share probably one quote, which is absolutely anonymous. I don't even know who came up with that, but I heard it in like a few months ago, and it's so appropriate for current time. And it says, happiness is when you can be on a detour and still enjoy the scenery. And I think this is the most accurate explanation of happiness, of what happiness is. Can you still enjoy the scenery even if your life takes you on a very unusual detour?
I love that, Kristina. I love that. Joe is saying here, this is amazing. It's like creating the environment that gives you that state of contentment rather than seeking happiness as an emotion. I think that's a nice kind of summary of it there, Joe. Thank you. And ladies, if you've got questions for Kristina as we're going through, please do feel free to put them in the comments section there. and we will ask them as we progress today. But what I'm really hearing from you there, Kristina, is that sense of, as you say, can you enjoy the detours along the way? But this piece around optimism seems really important.
Mm.
So what is it about optimism and being able to be optimistic? Because I heard you say, happiness is a state that can actually help you to have a more successful life. So is there a link between our happiness set point and how much success we're able to achieve, or how much we're able to impact or contribute in the world? Are they linked in some way?
They are actually,
Mm,
and I'm really happy that I found this research recently. So I haven't looked much into optimism. I think I came to that statement from the opposite.
mm,
If you know what depression is about, for example, it is usually when nothing in the future excites you. You can't look into the future. Or nostalgia is another very curious emotion. So
mm,
that's where the optimist came from. But the success and happiness connection is very interesting. I was researching it because I had a feeling that we are often misguided, or let's say we often get disappointed about the whole idea of happiness, because somewhere along the way of us growing up, we are taught that to be happy, you have to be successful. And this is an axiom which we generally don't question,
mm.
that success leads to happiness. It doesn't happen in a bad way. We're usually told, study well, do well at school, and that's obviously going to make you happy. Well, in a way, everything is going to be good if you study well, right? Or behave and everything is going to be good. So we are taught those, if you do this, this will be the result. And generally we learn that success leads to happiness. Now, we have one teacher in Mindvalley. I really love her. She's a psychotherapist, Marissa Peer. And she has worked with a lot of successful people who has achieved amazing things, like Hollywood celebrities and world athletes, people like that, who's achieved remarkably successful things. And she shared this very interesting thing. I was chatting with her, and what she said is that often when we strive for success, we believe that achieving that success is going to make us happy in a way. Well, in her I'm of course paraphrasing. In her interpretation is that we do that because we believe that that's what's going to make us worthy, lovable, worthy of admiration and respect. So we go for success because we think that's what's going to give us value. So what Marissa says is that she's discovered that a lot of people on the top of the success is when they get broken, because they reach the success, they have achieved that perfect condition, but what they tie to it, the feeling of contentment, of being enough, of being lovable, is not there. But now, on top of the feeling not being there, they've also lost the lighthouse towards which they were moving.
Yeah.
That explanation or excuse, once I'm there, that's when I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about that and wondering how can we untie those two concepts, because it's obviously so not true. On another hand, if you look at it from another side, every society has a certain idea what it means to be successful. It's one prescription, one scenario. But if you think of your personal natural inclinations, they're not the same as the ones of a person next to you. So why is it that we have different destinations, happiness, my own personal idea of happiness, but we have one map to those different destinations? Because society has pretty much one map to success.
Yeah.
So I was researching that, and then I came across this beautiful article. I don't remember where it was, one of the reputable newspapers, I believe. And they did a summary of variety of research that was researching the correlation between happiness and success. And what they discovered is that happiness is not a byproduct of success. And that's what we are taught, that happiness is a byproduct of success. No, it's not like that. It's the reverse. If you're in a happy state, you're much more likely to achieve success. But just achieving success is not going to make you happy.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean, of course, that if you're happy, you will necessarily be successful by society's standards, but at least you'll be happy.
But at least you'll be happy, right, along the path. I totally get that. Absolutely. So on this piece, right, we know that happiness is our precursor to success, not the effect of. It's the cause of, perhaps, but not the effect of. What can we therefore do to budge up our happiness set point? Ladies, as you're listening in, I'd be really interested to know, are you satisfied with your happiness set point right now? That's my first question for you, ladies. Please let me know in the comments section. Are you satisfied with your happiness set point? Do you feel like you could do with a little bit more happy every day? Are you a great role model for people around you? Let's have that little poll as we're chatting here. But what can we do to budget up? What can we do to have a little bit more happiness every day?
It's an interesting question, and the answer would depend very much on who I'm talking to, because different people require different tools to
Ah,
deal with that. The suggestion that I would give is that if you're working on your set point of happiness, which is a certain state, you have to look into long-term strategies. A lot of the times when we want to feel better, we resort to instant gratification type of mechanisms, such
no,
as
surely we don't. We don't.
uh,
Chocolate
you,
biscuits, glasses of wine. Is that what you're talking about?
not necessarily. It's a very interesting thing, but even walk in the park or meditation can be a very short-term
Ah.
kind of strategy, because there is. I'm not going to go into that because that's my niche as well. So I know it's dangerous. But generally, even the good habits can become obsessive or counterproductive. For
Wow. So
example,
even meditation, even like, getting out in
well, it
nature or
depends on how
whatever.
you do that. If
Mm.
you keep awareness in your life, it's not going to.
Mm.
But if you escape into things, for
Ah.
example, if you escape into things is one example, like going too much into that, where you stop living the regular life of a mortal human being, if I can say so. But as a slightly simpler example, just to illustrate the point, is gratitude practice. It is a very known and good practice to raise your set points of happiness. Don't remember which American university, I'll have to research that. One of the American universities did a research, and they did discover that if you express gratitude on a daily basis for 30 days, your perception of your own happiness is going to raise by 25%.
Wow, that's
There is
significant.
I'm sure it's not just one university. I know Sean Aker talks about the same phenomenon where people express gratitude, not even too long, like 2 minutes a day in the work environment. Their productivity goes up, and their happiness, their satisfaction with job goes up. So there is a lot of research that shows that. But the thing is that people who have been in personal growth for a long time, we often do meditation like just ticking the boxes. It doesn't create the same effect anymore, or it's so automatic that you start taking it for granted, but you don't get the same benefit. And then, let's say, just as an illustration, you got sick, you were in hospital, and then, for example, you didn't know diagnosis for a while, so you were worried on top of everything, and then, say, a week passes, everything is fine, you're cured, you get up, you step outside the hospital, and you breathe the fresh air, and you think, I'd like to have an ice cream right now. If you've experienced that, I know I've had a few cases like that in my life, but that feeling when you step out and you suddenly, like, just the normal, regular things suddenly become so juicy and colorful. That's when you know that this is the gratitude for the simple things that you have in your life. But when you just tick the box,
Yeah.
it's acknowledging, but how much do you actually feel it? How much do you experience that? How much does it actually make you feel any different about the detour in your life?
Yeah, it's that difference, isn't it? I noticed this. So we have a habit in our family of talking about our gratefuls at the dinner table, right? But it becomes a weather report most of the
Yes.
time. Do you know? It's like, last night Rosie said, I'm grateful for my mummy, I'm grateful for my daddy, and I mean, it's just she's only 4. I can't expect miracles. But even for myself, right? Even for myself, I was just kind of last night was reporting on the weather of what I was grateful for, but rather than that deep experiential, juicy, um, uh, inner lived experience of presence to it, which is a
Mm.
totally different point of view, right? It's the difference between saying, oh, it's a lovely sunny day, and basking in that sunlight and feeling it on your skin and having that embodied experience. Is that the kind of thing that you're talking about there?
Well, it's just an answer to your question, actually. Well, there are so many things you can do to work on your happiness, and there are so
Mm.
many good practices, and a lot of those practices, unfortunately, we if we are too long in a certain niche, we stop getting the same benefits of them. It's still a good practice, it's still a good habit,
Mm.
but it's like with anything, there are rituals, and there's the essence of the ritual. So how much consciousness can you, or awareness can you bring into whatever you're doing right now, be it meditation or yoga, or even having a piece of chocolate or a glass of wine? How much consciousness and awareness can you bring into that, where you still enjoy the process and not just do that on autopilot? So that was just my answer to the question about, are there any techniques? Of course, a lot of the things that you do can help you lift your set points of happiness. And I'm going to just touch upon one area, but we won't have time to go into that.
Mm.
The surest way to learn contentment with your life and optimism, if I can say so, is actually learn to work with the dark side of happiness.
Okay. Tell me about that.
I wonder if we'll have time for that, because this is actually majority of my work.
Mm.
I'd like to quote Susan David. Here she says, she has this beautiful, she's a psychologist and a TED speaker and a celebrity in general. So she says, pain is the price of access to a meaningful life. Pain is the price of access to meaningful life. So I'll probably explain where this myth of happiness comes, and I'll leave you at that.
Yes. And then we will come and learn more
why
from
why
you.
this whole misunderstanding, and why, like, if I ask you how important is happiness to you, most people, I know it's so unfortunate. We all want to be happy, but we somehow think it's not a serious goal.
Mm.
My life should be meaningful and not happy.
Mm.
My life should be I don't know, present, and happiness is a byproduct, or it should be successful and happiness is a byproduct. We disrespect it in some way. And then we're surprised we don't understand what it is. We can't explain it. We can't even admit that it's important. We can't put it as an important goal, not even the main goal, important goal in our goals list. And then we are surprised that we don't know what it is. So the myth of happiness, you have at least one kid, I know.
Yes,
So,
2 kids. Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
So you would resonate when you ask any parent, what would you like your kid to be? Most of them would say happy. I
Mm.
want my child to be happy. They, of course, some of them want them to be scientists or sports athletes or whatever, but the unifying thing is that we want our children to be happy. So what do we do for that? We create an environment for them where they're happy. We try to create a perfect setting, believing that you're happy when everything is perfect. Quoting one of our Mindvalley teachers, Sri Kumar Rao, he says, you're not happy because everything is perfect. Everything is perfect because you're happy.
Wow.
And it's a huge difference.
Mm.
But we parents believe that for our children to be happy, we have to create an environment where everything is perfect, or there is no blemish. So in practical terms, what does it mean? My mom didn't take me to the hospitals or to funerals, because it's a very sad thing. Why should I expose my child to something which the child doesn't need to see specifically? Or if something happens, we come and we try to solve the problem for our child. A few years ago, I came into my son's room and he was crying at night. He was falling asleep and he was crying, and I asked what's happened. He said, I didn't do homework and my classmates depend on that, and I'm scared and a little ashamed. And my first reaction was, he didn't do homework because we went on a trip and he didn't have a chance, and it was my fault because I took him on a trip. So my first reaction was, oh, it's my fault anyway. I'll go and I write to the teacher and explain and take the blame and solve the problem for the kid.
Mm.
So on one side, the kids are growing up with the idea that happiness is absence of discomfort, any kind of discomfort. Pain, discomfort, something unpleasant, something which is scary, something which is inexplicable, such as sickness or death. So we raise our children in that environment, most of us. And that would be half the problem, because that creates a very weird idea of what happiness is.
Yeah.
Something unattainable, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But the other problem is that we deprive them of the skill, necessary skill to deal with all of that. So when I was rushing to solve my son's problem, I was depriving him of opportunity to deal with very uncomfortable situation, to deal with pain, well, pain, broadly speaking, with fear, with shame, while I'm there to help him.
Mm.
and to keep my light on and to be there for him. So, philosophically speaking, if I deprive him of this experience, he's going to get it anyway. But I might not be next to him to help him. So I stopped myself and I said, Hayden, that's what I do when I'm scared, when I'm ashamed. And you know what, no matter what happens, even if they kick you out of the school for that, you know I'm always going to love you and we're going to solve this together. But tomorrow, it's your battle. So he went to school, he came back. Of course, he didn't remember anything afterwards. He was like, yeah, it was all fine. But the point is that we deprive our loved ones by trying to make them happy rather than letting them go through their journeys and being there with them no matter what they're going through, even if they're making mistakes, even if you disagree with them, just being there for them, with them, and always ready to catch them if they need it. We go and we save the day. And we deprive them of their journey, of the opportunity to learn something or maybe to get a skill while you're still there with them. So that's I think why we have such hard relationship with happiness, because on one side we think it's something unattainable because this condition is never going to happen. While your baby, maybe your mom can prevent you from being exposed to anything unpleasant except maybe falling down and scraping your knee. But it's not going to be forever. This is number one. Number two, we grow up without the skills to deal with everyday regular thing, such as pain. Pain is part of life. Darkness is part of light. I mean, there's no light without darkness. There's no pleasure without pain. Life is full of the opposites, and that's what makes it juicy and beautiful. And we try to create a society where we want one thing and we want to numb the other thing. But any psychologist will say you cannot numb feelings selectively. If you want to numb shame, pain, anger, anything, you're going to numb joy, love, peacefulness, everything in equal.
Oh, Kristina, this has been so beautiful. Thank you so much. So the ladies are saying, you know, Rachel's saying here, this is so insightful. Thank you so much. Now, a few of the ladies, interesting. Sal was saying here, my happiness started improving when I stopped looking for it in other people or sources outside myself, which relates really beautifully to what you're just saying there. And Sue's saying, I'm happy, but would be even happier to increase my set point. So I know for a fact that our community are going to be resonating with what you're talking about here, Kristina. So how would be best for these ladies to reach out and learn more about a sustained approach to increasing their happiness? How can they find you and continue this journey with you?
Well, I do have a free course, 7 Days to Happiness, 7 Days to
Oh,
Happiness.
7 Days to Happiness sounds pretty good to me. How do we get that?
I consider it like a beginner's courses, and it's quite simple actually. And the techniques there is obviously the gratitude and the being present, but I also have forgiveness and dealing with the painful emotions. So I actually have such a choice of different things to learn, as in to be happy. Like one thing would be learning to love yourself. I think is an important skill to be happy, right? So there are a lot of things, but 7 Days to Happiness is a good beginner course, and of course you can find me on Instagram. I'm there. My Instagram is not always there for me, but I'm there for Instagram.
I love it. I love following you on Instagram too. I love your posts. They're so
Thank you.
thoughtful and so valuable to everybody else. You know, I really, really appreciate them. And of course, there's loads of great stuff on Mindvalley too, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, ladies, we'll put a
You're
little.
there too, by the way.
I'm there too from our interview the other day. We had such a good time. It was so awesome. And it has been the same today, Kristina. It's been really, really
Thank you.
lovely having you here. And I'm super excited about potentially having a little bit more Kristina in the community in the coming weeks as well. So looking forward to that too. Darlings, please let me know in the comments section. Give some thumbs up and some love to Kristina. It's been a delight having you today. Yes. Thank you for spending some time with us. And we look forward to sharing this far and wide across all of our one of many channels here. And thank you for being one of many women supporting women in the world to stop putting everybody else first, recognize that happiness is a respectable goal to have in our lives. You know, I think that's a really important piece to take away. And that's certainly something for me that I'm taking away from today, that
Thank you.
it's okay to want that. You know, it's okay to have that. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much, my darling. Thank you so
You
much.
know, I'll just add a little thing.
Oh,
I'm
please.
not going to go into a long story, but it was Dalai Lama who gave me this permission, because I asked him that same question. You know, how can I be happy if there's so much suffering in the world? And I was exposed to both. And he said, Christina, you can't help anyone if you're not happy.
Yeah. Yeah, right. There you go. His Holiness himself, my darlings. I hope you're all taking the permission that I'm going to be taking from this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been fabulous having you, my darling. So, ladies, do let us know with what you're taking away from today. It's been wonderful to spend some time with you. Brilliant, says Rachel. Brilliant, says Sue. Incredible insight, says Joe. Yay! Thank you so much. I'll be here, of course, next Tuesday with our Lunch and Learn Live. And if today has been useful, please do share it. Please do share it with your community in any way, shape, or form that you can. You can share this to your personal page. You can share it to your you can share it to your personal page. You can share it across, and send it just a message to someone that you think might benefit from it. However you would like to, share, please do. We think, like a good wine, happiness is best shared in any way, shape, or form. If you're not yet registered, do make sure you get yourself registered for the One Woman Conference coming up on June the 12th and 13th. Come and join. I expect by the time we're there, it'll be over 1,000 women that will be joining us from all over the world to connect, to network, to grow, and to have a deeply powerful transformational weekend. And we will be announcing over the next week or so some extraordinary guests that will be coming in and doing interviews with us over the course of that weekend. So do keep your eyes peeled on the emails and our social channels for those updates. Thank you once again, Kristina, for being a part of it. It's been fabulous to have you, my darling. And thank you all for being here. See you later. Bye.